What does the margin, 0 auto, declaration do when applied to a block level element with fixed width? Correct answer is horizontally centers the element. Which property is used to control the space outside an element? Correct answer is margin. Which property is used to control the spacing between letters in text? Correct answer is letter spacing. Which property controls how the background image is repeated? Correct answer is background repeat. Which CSS property allows you to set a background image for an element? Correct answer is background image. Which CSS property would you use to change the style of an element's list bullet? Correct answer is list style type. Which selector targets all elements with class menu? Correct answer is dot menu. Which unit is fixed and not relative to any other size in CSS? Correct answer is px. Which property can be used to change the order of flex items inside a flex container? Correct answer is order. Which property aligns flex items along the cross-axis in a flex container? Correct answer is align items. Which property is used to add a border around an element? Correct answer is border. Which CSS positioning removes the element from the normal document flow and positions it relative to the nearest positioned ancestor? Correct answer is absolute. How would you apply CSS styles to an element with both classes btn and active? Correct answer is .btn.active. Which selector targets all p elements inside a div? Correct answer is divp. Which property is used to set the alignment of items along the main axis in a flex container? Correct answer is justify content. Which CSS property is used to hide an element, remove it from layout? Correct answer is display, none. What is the default value of the position property for an element? Correct answer is static. How do you make text bold in CSS? Correct answer is font weight, bold. Which CSS property controls the visibility of overflow content when it exceeds container bounds? Correct answer is overflow. Which pseudo element can be used to insert content before an element's content? Correct answer is before. Which CSS property is used to control the space inside an element? Correct answer is padding. Which property is used to set the minimum height of an element? Correct answer is min height. What does CSS stand for? Correct answer is Cascading Style Sheets. Which CSS property is used to change the background color of an element? Correct answer is background color. Which property changes the opacity, transparency, of an element? Correct answer is opacity. In CSS shorthand for margins, which order do the values go if you list 4 values? E.g. margin, A, B, C, D. Correct answer is top right bottom left. Which CSS property sets the text alignment inside an element? Correct answer is text align. Which property controls whether white space inside an element is collapsed or maintained? Correct answer is white space. Which statement about CSS cascade and specificity is correct? Correct answer is ID selectors have higher specificity than class selectors. Which CSS property is used to position an element relative to its normal position? Correct answer is relative. Which property would you use to create space between the border of an element and its content on all sides equally? Correct answer is padding. Which property sets the height of an element? Correct answer is height. What does the CSS property box sizing, border box, do? Correct answer is includes padding and border in the element's total width and height. Which value of display makes an element behave like a block level element? Correct answer is block. Which CSS unit is relative to the font size of the root element? Correct answer is rem. Which property defines the border radius of an element, rounded corners? Correct answer is border radius. Which property controls the space between lines of text? Correct answer is line height. Which CSS property is used to set the width of an element? Correct answer is width. Which CSS property is used to change the text color of an element? Correct answer is color. Which property controls the stacking order of overlapping elements? Correct answer is z-index. Which property would you set to make an element's width relative to its parent element's width, percentage based? Correct answer is width, 50%. Which selector targets an element with ID header? Correct answer is hashtag header. Which CSS property controls the gap between grid or flex items, in modern layout? Correct answer is gap. What does the CSS property float do? Correct answer is aligns an element to the left or right and allows content to wrap around it. Which selector matches only P elements that are direct children of a div? Correct answer is divp. Which CSS pseudo-class applies styles when the user hovers over an element? Correct answer is hover. Which property is used to change the font of an element? Correct answer is font family. Which CSS property changes the style of the border's thickness, style, and color? Correct answer is border. Which CSS property can be used to apply a transition effect when a property changes? Correct answer is transition. Which CSS property is used to apply spacing between words in a text? Correct answer is word spacing.